It's amazing anything happens. All these different worlds and technology, and we're here and we were there, and who are you anyway? And that's why we're going to study the Heart Sutra. So what's all this about anyway? So I was gonna, like I said, I was gonna read this poem at the end. Maybe I'll read it at the end again. Who knows? I received it yesterday from an old friend, Layla Smith, Layla Bockhorst, long-term Zen practitioner friend. I remember when I was ordained. I mean, I always liked Layla. I mean, I always had. Layla's from Montana. I love it. She's really Montana. There's something about that I just love. When I was ordained, I had a dream, and the person I wanted to tell was Layla. I was so surprised, but it changed. It's like, oh, maybe my dream world knows something that I didn't consciously know, and we have a deep friendship. And Layla, a few months ago, was diagnosed with cancer. Very healthy, riding her bike. I got a note from her yesterday in the mail, the beautiful handmade card saying, I don't know how much longer I'm going to live. Mm-hmm. And she sent this. She said, I wrote this poem after I came to visit you and Bruce once, and the date is 2012. It's like 10 years ago. Can you remember 10 years ago? And what did you think 10 years ago was going to be 10 years ago now? And what do you think 10 years ago, what's it going to be? I mean, the whole sense of time, and what do we think about anything? So here's what Layla sent me. An afternoon with old friends, an hour's drive north to get there. Once clear of the cities, I open the window. Serene hills, late summer grasses fragrant, a few clouds in the high sky. My grief inexplicably ebbs. Their garden, secluded in the hills, almost overgrown. We sit among apple trees and talk of our lives, past and present. A strong wind today, though we are sheltered. An old ship's bell rings in the wind, and my friend says, we're safe here. No ship will run us down. Our tea is hot. The sky is blue as autumn. Nothing disturbs our friendly seclusion. Some minor complaints amongst us, and some melancholy for time's passing. The hills merge into mist as the afternoon lengthens. Let's just enjoy this inexplicable life. The pure sun, the wind, each other's attentive faces. Let's just enjoy this inexplicable life. The pure sun, the wind, the fog, each other's attentive faces. One of my favorite koans, you've probably heard me say it before, Zhaozhou koan. Student asked Zhaozhou, what is Zazen? It is non-Zazen, he replied. How can Zazen be non-Zazen? It's alive, Zhaozhou replied. Alive. What is this alive? Alive or dead? Oh no, there's a whole other good koan that I didn't write in here, but that's what happens once you enter this whole Zen realm, is one thing opens and then the next thing opens and it's all alive and it's dead, and where are we, and what is this form and emptiness, and don't miss each other's faces. Let's just enjoy this inexplicable moment. I was going to say, if anybody tells you Zen or practice is about anything else, I mean, of course, listen and follow it all the way through, but I think it ends at the same place. It's just profound wonder and gratitude, and that it's not what you think. Practice period. We opened practice period. The theme of our practice period is the Heart Sutra. I'm so glad we're opening it with this sitting, because I would really like to, I hope, stand on Dogen's shoulders, in his heart, his breath, his belly, his teachings. Zazen is the embodiment of the Heart Sutra. And the Heart Sutra is the finger pointing at the moon of Zazen. So I want to say something about Zazen today, since we just happen to be spending the day doing Zazen. I want to read you a couple things to begin with. I mentioned this on Thursday. Zenju Earthling Manuel's The Shamanic Bones of Zen, revealing the ancestral spirit and mystical heart of the sacred tradition of Zen. She's a transmitted Zen teacher in the Suzuki Roshi lineage through Blanche Hartman, an African-American woman. I'm really happy to pull forward her teachings in this time. She says Zazen is the core of Zen practice. Za means sitting and Zen means meditation. There's no goal in mind or effort to improve one's personality. Shunryu Suzuki Roshi said Zazen practice is the direct experience of our true nature. Dainin Katagiri Roshi said Zazen is the right gate for entering the Buddha Dharma. But the Zazen is the right gate for entering the Buddha Dharma. But the Buddha Dharma is actually human life. In the view of these renowned Zen teachers, the conventional thinking in regard to Zen and Zazen is far beyond what anyone can imagine. Zazen is a prolonged ritual of seeing and listening. Isn't that nice? Eventually in Zazen, you become the meditation as it arises in you with each breath. It is no longer something you do or something on the to-do list. To take one's seat in Zazen is to sit upon the earth. It is to connect to the source of our lives, which is the breath passed on by the ancestors. Buddhas before Buddhas before Buddhas. This room was full. The teaching of the Avatamsaka Sutra is that every inch on the earth has been sat on by Buddhas across time and space. So no matter where you are, there's Buddhas. We're always standing on the ground of the Buddhas. If we could just feel our feet and remember. In Zazen, awakening comes through the body, in sitting still and breathing. In Zazen, it is only through the body that awakening is revealed. We have a precious human body. We have probably spend a lot of time poking at it, worrying about it, wishing this or that or whatever. Just start with a human body. Being embodied, we bring our hardships with us, but we don't contemplate them. We are led through, not around the difficulties of our embodiment. The oneness of embodiment and boundlessness is experienced together. The oneness of embodiment and boundlessness is experienced together. So I've always liked, when I read that, I think of in the dining room at San Francisco Zen Center in this city, there's hands in Gasho, which people say are Suzuki Roshi's hands. And it's form and emptiness. It's absolute and relative. It's just together each moment, and just bow. Just bow. In the portal of Zazen, in the portal of alive, profound, boundless, alive, particular, body, life, karma, there is unbounded life energy and the possibility of bringing forth the spirit of life rather than our idea of reality. Therein lies healing and peace for the entire world. Just a little bit from Kobun Chino. Kobun Chino, Suzuki Roshi, when he first came to the United States, invited, I think Kobun and Katagiri to come and help him. And then he later invited someone who was very good on the forms. Not that they weren't good on the forms, but he kind of understood that in the Zen tradition you have to do forms. But it's interesting that the first people that he invited to help him, and I don't think it's just my experience, are really just deep, good-hearted practitioners, really wonderful human beings. So Kobun Chino has talks on the Heart Sutra that I'll be sharing little bits and pieces of, maybe Marilyn too. We say that forms in the phenomenal world have no substance. In other words, I exist, but I don't exist. You hear that, right? Everything exists, but there is not a particular I. Thich Nhat Hanh calls it interbe. We're so self-attached. I mean, we just are. Start there. We'll get back to that. Everything exists, but there is not a particular I. This is a very important point in understanding what emptiness means. And yet the most important thing is that only when form exists is emptiness realized. Emptiness is not some idea separate from form. It means that without form there is no way to realize that emptiness exists, and without form there wouldn't be emptiness. It's not like a vacuum or mere voidness. Your individual body, the continuing experience of being an individual, remains a very, very important thing. Your physical body and how you live is the only chance you've got to express the truth. You can't go over it. You can't go under it. It's like, thank you, Buddha. You got this particular body. I got this particular body. This time and space, this particular karma, this is it, folks. This is the gift given to you by Buddha and the whole world. So we sit down in the middle of it. Our zazen becomes a very important thing when we come to this understanding. And then he says, well, the body's very important, but sometimes it can feel slow and heavy, something to take care of. And then he says, I used to put a lot of importance on the mental and spiritual elements of zazen, like study the mind, watch the mind. Emptiness, enlightenment. Those are gates many of us came through and continue to come through. But more recently, and I completely celebrate with Coben this insight, I feel that exactly the same weight of importance is in my live body. If there is perfect awakening, it is not just for the mind. It's like study the mind. Pay attention to your thoughts. Pay attention to things coming and going. And open your hand and watch them come and go. Study. It just... The human mind is an amazing thing. It's like, wow. Do you ever just get amazed at the things that pop up in your mind and go through, and where did that come from? And it can be enormously entertaining. It can also be enormously disturbing. That's how we sit. We just sit right in the middle of it, in the body. We have this body to help ground us on the earth because it is matter. I love this. The whole body is one intuition. The whole body is one intuition. Suzuki Roshi says, he calls it intuitive body. Zazen body is, to me, awakening and, I don't want to say fine-tuning because it sounds like, but that's the word that comes to me, is this whole body is so alive and resonant. But you have to be here. Come back, come back. The body, he says, is a very fast thing. You cannot catch it or grab it. Just here, just this, over and over and over. To put this body and mind in some physically stable place and keep this position for maybe 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 3 hours, when you keep it still, then a marvelous thing happens. You realize that this is a very important posture. Now I want to say, posture. If you can sit full lotus, that's really lovely. I've never been able to. If you can sit upright on a cushion, that's wonderful. If you sit on a chair upright, if you lay down upright, whatever you're doing, what is this posture that goes with you no matter where you are? Because that's ultimately alive Zazen. And all we're doing and all we're helping each other do is to remember, this is it. Grounded on the earth, upright. It's such a beautiful posture that the heart's open, belly, breath in the belly, the head connected into the heavens and to the whole world. And Dogen and Zen teaches a particular posture. But know it from the inside. What is it? That's our job today and forever. Completely offer your mind and body for the time of Zazen. Completely offer yourself. And let things be as they go. What will happen is not promised. So we sit down. Being with body and breath, with life, this particular life, sitting in the middle of existence, which is also non-existence. Just being with life as it comes and goes. In Zen, synonym for awakening, waking up, is intimacy. You probably heard me say before it was one of the reasons I could stay. I didn't know what actually, who knows why I stayed, but somehow intimacy, I thought, I always felt like I was a football field away from life, and I had absolutely no idea how to bust through and get in, because that's what I was trying to do. Somehow, Stop. Sit down. Breathe. Feel the edges of your skin and then let it expand. Let go and let go and let go. Intimate with body and breath and sounds and patterns that arise in the air, that arise. Let the air come close. Intimate with each other. Each one of us supporting everyone else just by our presence. Here in the room, there on Zoom, not to mention all the little beings and the birds and the bugs. Let the edges of the body and mind extend and extend. So sound isn't coming from outside anymore. What a big, spacious container this awareness is. Nothing is disallowed. Nothing. Whatever the thought or feeling, this space is big enough and vast enough and peaceful enough in its very nature to contain everything. Containing beyond containing. Beyond birth and death. Birth, death. Birth and death aren't two separate things. Birth, death. Birth, death. It's alive. What is it? It's alive. So I wanted to spend a little time, and we'll see. I'm just looking at my... Okay. I want to spend just a little bit of time on Dogen's Fukan Zazengi. We chanted it in different retreats. It's what he wrote about Zazen. It's very beautiful. So he starts. It's in the Shobogenzo. The way is basically perfect and all-pervading. How could it be contingent upon practice and realization? The Dharma vehicle is free and untrammeled. What need is there for concentrated effort? Indeed, the whole body is far beyond the world's dust. Who could believe in a means to brush it clean? It is never apart from one, right where one is. What is the use of going off here and there to practice? Our life, the way it is already essentially and fundamentally perfect and reaching everywhere. Not limited by the boundaries of our skin. It is in itself a miracle, sacred and wondrous. The truth and beauty of our life is always right here. Right where we're standing, right where we're sitting. This is the place where everything important happens. And yet, Dogen says, if there is the slightest discrepancy, the way is as distant as heaven from earth. If the least like or dislike arises, the mind is lost in confusion. Do you have any likes and dislikes? Is this hopeless? So he gave us perfect, whole and complete. And yet, study the mind, pay attention. As Suzuki Roshi said, you and everything is perfect just as it is, and it could use a little improvement. Study what the mind does. The mind itself is a whole series of likes and dislikes because by its nature it sets up one thing against the other. It's like, how would you know where the edges were if you didn't? It's like this, you could say against that, but so I think there's something kind of beautifully poignant about the human condition because we do know. I think we have insight, we have moments where we just know and can feel. We can rest in it. And then the next minute we're running after it or trying to grab it or what was it? And because we are... let's see. It's always off kilter because the human mind can't keep up with, it can't hold on to just this amazing flashing in and out of existence of everything. And we're trying to put it together in some linear way so we can understand it and grasp it. It's like when someone's born, a baby's born. Ungraspable. And then you watch the baby more and more solidify into form and a lifetime because that's its job. And we do, and the whole world is complicit and helps with that because that's our job to form. And then life happens and there's stories and there's as there should be and then there's death. It's like, what happened? Where did they go? What was that anyway? Perfect, couldn't be anything other than it is. And it's all mixed up and messed up and we're always stirring the pot and doing what we do and waking up in the middle of it. So how do we see, what Norman Fisher says, see with binocular eyes? It's like both, simultaneously. Ellis is a Buddha. Oh my God, there's a Buddha sitting in front of me. And it's Ellis. Trying to wake up and be Ellis. And live a good life and be a good person. It's like, this is it. This is what we get to do together. Bow and bow and bow to all of it. And to ourselves and each other. Dogen says, be grateful to the ancestors. Be grateful to the path. Cease, he says. Cease. Cease from practice based on intellectual understanding and pursuing words and following after speech. Of course, study. I mean, we use language. We're not throwing language out. Just know the limitations of language. And it's why poetic language is different than discursive linear language. Play in language. Listen to the language in your own head and how you keep describing. It's like, how many times have you described the same situation? Or no, it's a different situation that's the same situation over and over through some old story. And you go, there must be other ways of looking at this. This is suffering. You stop. And you know what Dogen says? He says, learn the backward step that turns the light inwardly to illuminate yourself, and body and mind of themselves will drop away, and your original face will be manifest. If you want suchness, you should practice suchness without delay. The way I experience backward step. It always feels like my little self is out there doing what it's doing. Liking, disliking, happy, sad. It's like, bring it back. Take the backward step into this vast and deep body, heart, mind that is not just interwoven with the whole world, is the whole world. Step back into the fabric of alive. I can feel it when I do it. Whoa! And it's Zazen body. It's right here. That's what we're doing, is we're practicing training ourselves. And it becomes more and more accessible. And I think, I've always thought, maybe it's because I kind of grew up around trauma, is like you never know what's going to happen next, and we don't know these days what's going to happen in the world. If you care, and you do, and you care about your loved ones, and you care about 7 generations, and you care about the earth, put your whole body and heart and mind into this training. Come back, be here, and it will help the whole world be here. And then go do whatever political action or kind thing will arise out of that. Backward step. Here, settle the self on the self. Settle this poor, wonderful, confused, lovely Chris in the lap of the Buddha. It's like, oh, such a kind thing to do. It's like, oh. She has so many opinions and so many likes and dislikes and fears and worries. And she loves, and she really wants the love to look the way she wants it to love. I mean, we all do. This is not personal. And the more, it's such a relief. Because then you can be a true human being of just like, bow, bow, bow. Oh. So then in the Fukan Zazengi, Dogen goes on and very particularly tells you about Zazen and how to sit Zazen. Details. Very practical. So now that's one of the most amazing things. Is that one of the most, I can't remember where I got this commentary, but I like it. One of the most profound and beautiful aspects of Dogen's teaching is the way that his view is both narrow and vast. Everything is perfect as it is, and then he says, be sure to get your left leg on your right thigh. A funny combination of very specific mundane instructions. When you walk in the room, bow to the altar. Keening, do this. Service, do that. Very practical, very mundane. It's not because this is some special instruction on top of the world. It's to teach us how to be here with and for all beings. Specific mundane instructions and the very vast understanding of very specific activities that are without limit, incomprehensible, and ungraspable. And then, because you were probably wondering what was going to happen next, right? He gives the one technique in this entire text. The essential art of Zazen meditation. I think I forgot to say, the Heart Sutra happens in the Buddha's meditation. It's a description of what's happening. It's a description of the Buddha's meditation. Avalokiteshvara, Shariputra, this conversation. It's all unfolding and happening in the Buddha's meditation. Maybe we could say, this whole world is Buddha's meditation. It's all a dream that's dreaming us. And we're waking up in it. And you know what the technique is? I know you want to know, right? Think, not thinking. Think, not thinking. How? No thinking. Let go of your grasping mind. Of me, or I, or I'm thinking. Just keep coming back. And have so much compassion for the one who likes and dislikes. I mean, where else is compassion going to come from? And just keep putting your energy back into breath and body and here. Not my life, not my thought. Everything just coming and going. Pema Chodron says, Pema Chodron visited here. Good juju. She says, don't get hooked. Pretty simple. Notice when you get hooked. Let go. And in time, things do settle down. And there is more space. And I'm just as deluded as I always was. I'm just a little more aware of it. And sometimes it's funny, and sometimes it's extremely sad. And I never used to know, although I intuited, that we're all in this together. We're all so profoundly and deeply in this together. And that each thought, each moment of speech, body, speech, and mind does affect the entire world, everything. And it's all just a luminous mirror shining back and forth, and you are a luminous node in it. Don't miss this precious life. Because something more fundamental is going on that's beyond our knowledge and our perceptions. We can't grasp it, but we can intuit it, and we can begin to trust it. And then it becomes a faith practice. Not because you believe in something else. But the most important thing then becomes, in some ways it's because, like, what else are you going to do? Is wholeheartedly give yourself to every moment of your life, no matter what it is. Just show up. Be here. It's not what you think. It's called the Dharma, Dogen says, the Dharma gate of ease and repose. Whoa, talk about a faith practice. Being here right in the midst of this birth, death, life. Ease and repose. That's why the Buddha just kind of sits there with a half smile, you know? Why Thich Nhat Hanh says, just, you can try it sometimes. Just not a big smile. Just let the corners of your mouth turn up. And it actually, I think they figured out that physiologically something actually really happens. You can try, it's like it's right here. And there's always a choice. Zazen is just reality itself and a very specific intentional activity that is without limit. It is both sit in this way and breathe, and an embodiment of the truth that permeates everywhere without limit. And you just kind of thought you were going to bumble in the door and Who knows what we thought? Who knows what we think we're doing? Just use this opportunity. And Dogen says, and if Dogen said it, it must be true. That's a joke. But listen, it's really good to have wise ancestors. That if you practice in this way, devote your energies to a way that directly indicates the absolute. Constantly perform, live in such a manner, and you are assured of being a person such as they. Those who we are emulating, who pass this down to us. And he says, your treasure store will open of itself. Your treasure store will blossom. Open of itself, and you can use it at will. Simply devote your life to wholehearted living. Wonder. Sit in a circle of wonder. Zenju says, live with reverence in the emptiness of all things. Reverence. Live in wonder. Koben says, the whole body is one intuition. Just offer yourself completely and wholeheartedly. Zhao Zhou says, it's alive. And Layla Smith says, let's just enjoy this inexplicable life, the pure sun, the wind, each other's attentive faces. You know, there's a little Buddha in each one of you. In fact, I think there's little Buddhas in each cell, but I do sometimes, and maybe you'll experience it during the sitting, is you know, you sit down and it's like blah, 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 and, and thinking and planning and blah, 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 blah. And sometimes there's almost this feeling of just like getting tapped on the shoulder. Come back. Just here. Just this. And you know what? If you do it, it will help the person next to you and across from you and down the road and on the other side of the planet. That's all it is. And it's particular and it's choice and it is energetic. Or it's like, come back, come back. It's right here. And we'll just keep helping each other. And all the Buddhas across time and space are completely here. There's absolutely nothing to do. It's perfect, whole, and complete, and so are you. And please, for the sake of all beings, let's say the Bodhisattva vows.